Hello and welcome to the first in a series of videos aimed at helping learners engage in good practice in academic studies and assignments. The next three videos in the series cover essay writing, delivering presentations and sitting exams. Later videos look at issues more specific to dissertations and theses, such as forming research questions, research methods, and approaches to writing and structuring larger projects. The advice in the series is broadly aimed at the study of audiovisual practices and cultures, but it's transferable to other arts and humanities subjects. It intends to aid independent study, complement course materials, or provide a refresher or a starting point depending on your level of interest or study. This video offers some pointers on critical thinking that should underpin study and preparing for assignments and help you in your independent learning and analysis of ideas and texts. I'm primarily a film scholar, so the examples I use to demonstrate points are largely from cinema, but often similar rules apply if you're studying cognate subjects like television, media, drama, literature, radio, art, visual culture or cultural studies. While subject-specific terminology might differ, they're all geared towards thinking actively and critically. If you are in any way media literate, you will know that film language is designed to make viewers believe they have witnessed events they have not actually seen. Cinematic sleight of hand is often down to the editing. While film gives a sense of homogeneous time and space, sequences that have been cut together in fact comprise of different takes that have often been shot at different times and possibly in different locations. Off-screen space and sound tend to extend the film's world beyond the frame and allow the audience to suspend disbelief. If the study of film and related media indicate anything, it is that we ought to question everything, including interrogating the seemingly obvious. As day-to-day living becomes increasingly mediatised, with much of life underpinned by screen culture, seeking truth and satisfying intellectual curiosity, rather than unquestioningly accepting the barrage of information screens project at us, are important life skills. The following points outline ways of approaching this that form the basis for robust textual analysis. The close reading of texts such as films, novels, artworks, plays, performances, pieces of music, and so on, enable and expand our understanding of meaning beyond a work's surface image or narrative. Whether or not you like or enjoy a work is irrelevant when exploring its meaning and examining the ways it creates and conveys that meaning. To begin doing that, with films for example, an initial viewing helps establish the main plot details, the narrative structure, its style, character details, the setting, the film's time span, its genre, and what themes and issues are raised in it. Then you can take a closer look at how notable scenes are constructed and what bearing this has or what it indicates about the film overall. Doing this in discussion with others is probably the most effective way to tease out your observations and begin to identify aspects and patterns you think beg closer scrutiny. As you become more proficient at this, try paying attention to the lesser discussed aspects of a text and see if you can present new knowledge about it. Consulting secondary sources will help you form deeper and broader knowledge and enrich your understanding as you build a convincing case for your argument. Even the process of eliminating sources you don't feel are appropriate is useful because awareness of who says what about your topic can only benefit your inquiry. Appropriate literature for your studies may depend on your level, but includes subject-specific textbooks, scholarly books, and journal articles. When following a specific line of inquiry, try browsing library shelves, check the indexes in the back pages of books for specific terms relevant to your investigation, search for articles through your institution's online library catalogue or its access to sites such as Project Muse or JSTOR. Remember that these sources are secondary, your study texts are primary. Secondary sources should be used to help you reach a position and support your arguments. As your studies progress and you begin to deal with increasingly sophisticated ideas, you're likely to encounter theory, and many of the secondary sources you consult will be theoretical. Theory in this sense is not to be confused with hypothesis. Film theory, for example, involves systems, concepts and models through which to analyse works of cinema, which are developed over many years by many scholars. While theories themselves can be interrogated and interpreted, they are demonstrable through their application. As your awareness and knowledge of subject-appropriate theory expands, you'll be able to use your growing toolkit for intellectual inquiry to construct discussion frameworks through which to analyse primary texts. As well as subject-specific theory, history and industry, critical approaches that can combine with textual analysis and each other include feminism, gender, sexuality, race, sociopolitics, geopolitics, historicism, colonialism, post-colonialism, structuralism, post-structuralism, modernism, postmodernism, philosophy, aesthetics, and many, many more. It is important to bear in mind that no one is infallible. Even the best of scholars make mistakes. Keep yourself right and double check everything as much as possible. For example, if a source you're using has quoted from somewhere else and you think it could also bolster your argument, consult the original source if you can to ensure your use of it is appropriate. Not only will this decrease the likelihood of mistakes on your part by allowing you to dodge a bullet, but you could get lucky and find it enriches your knowledge and understanding of the topic even further. However, you might find that it wasn't what you thought and that you disagree with the text's use of secondary sources due to your own findings. Whatever happens, it's best to be sure, and the knowledge gained will help you construct more assertive and convincing argumentation. For shorter essays, try not to crowd out your own voice with too many secondary positions. Longer projects, though, might need to discuss others' ideas at length, and I'll cover that in more detail in the later videos in the series. Just bear in mind that it's really tricky to find the balance, and really you need to use your best judgment and trust yourself in doing that. Academia generally has strict ideas on what can be considered as legitimate sources, including the likes of scholarly monographs and peer-reviewed journal articles, as mentioned earlier. Fields that involve theory and practice expand those horizons with outputs such as video essays, documentaries and podcasts. Even still, it's important to understand that creative and critical outputs do not have to be at odds. Often, the critical is creative and the creative is critical. For example, the following clip from Mel Brooks's pastiche of Star Wars confronts cynical industrial money-making, through which George Lucas's sci-fi classic is satirically maligned for essentially being an advert for movie merchandise aimed at kids, an astute observation given that the franchise and Lucasfilm were later sold to Disney.
But Yogurt, what is this place? What is it that you do here? Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up this door. Come, walk this way. Take a look. We put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. Spaceballs the T-shirt. Spaceballs the coloring book. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the breakfast cereal. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love this one. Last but not least, Spaceballs the doll. Me.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Adorable.
While the clip exemplifies criticism of the reproachful kind, it can also be read as an invitation to the viewer to consider the broader industrial and commercial systems driving Hollywood film production, rather than passively and unquestioningly being led by those systems. Active inquiry and inquiring actively are at the heart of critical thinking and academic study. If you found this presentation interesting or useful, please share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I provide these videos for free, but they take a lot of time and work to prepare. If you feel able to make a financial contribution to their production, please donate in British pounds via paypal.me/PEA Blair, or consider paying a monthly subscription of an amount of your choice in US dollars on patreon.com/PEA Blair. Pledges of any amount on Patreon will enable access to transcriptions of my videos that include bibliographical references and links to further information. My Patreon page also links to my audio recordings, blog posts and publications. Any money received goes towards sustaining and improving these educational resources that I make, and will facilitate my plans for developing a website dedicated to wide, accessible study of audiovisual cultures. Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope it's been useful.